and welcome to Inside Running on Tab Radio Racing and Sports.
Magnificio races to the lead, getting through Waterman's Bay. Magnificio narrowly from Waterman's Bay.
Our team will evaluate each race, interview leading contenders, and update Tab Touch markets.
But now Delicacy, here she comes. Delicacy under the 59, went to Neverland and reeled up Dark Musket. It's Delicacy against the inside. Sublime, brilliant, greatness in the cup.
We trust you will enjoy this edition of Inside Running. Now, over to the team for their look at today's meeting.
Yes, indeed. We join the best in the business this Saturday morning for the preview of Belmont. And at Belmont today, we've got 9 races. The first at 11:59. We haven't got a weather update at the moment. I assume it will be fine. Track's off 7 and no rail information either, but I'm sure we will have that for you as soon as possible. We'll get straight into it, but maybe we can start off with Michael Heaton and Scott Embry. Michael, very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Leah. How am I sounding?
You are sounding fantastic,
Beautiful.
Scott. Check, 1, 2.
Sensational.
Yes.
Amazing, all right.
Yeah, no, I think we're on a soft 6 now.
Okay.
Is that correct, Scott? We've
6.
We've had a little upgrade, rail at the 8 metres today, and as Darren just gets his headset under control there, but we've had a few scratchings come through the meeting here today, Scott, which is probably not an overly big surprise considering the conditions, but a really good field assembled in the Raconteur Stakes nonetheless.
That time of year, isn't it? Every single week you see a couple of scratchings and then you go to the steward's report at the end of the day and you basically toss the coin. Is it future nomination or is it hoof abscess? You get a lot of them at the moment, and even late ones. We saw last week Tallangatta, a late scratching basically when they were halfway through the meeting.
On course,
with a little bit of lameness with a suspected hoof abscess, but 7 days later he goes to the races. The most important scratching on today's program is in the feature, in the listed Raconteur Stakes over the 1400. You can put a line through Rachanko, so no W Pike in the listed feature, and that thins out the winning chances in what is a very competitive race.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think it's a really open edition. It's a quality edition of this year's Raconteur Stakes. A horse like Super Smink is dropping into her own age group for the first time in quite some time. The Boss Lady hasn't put a foot wrong, and Generosity was a different horse with the blinkers on last start, and that's without even mentioning horses like My Jimmy. Sapphire Streets won her last 2. Brave Spirit was a good last start winner. I think it's quality from top to bottom.
How are we going?
Oh, he's back. Now layers off.
Took all of my technical experience to rewire under the desk and get the soldering iron out.
I think we were
unbelievable.
We were holding our own there for a moment, Scott.
It
weren't bad.
It was strange
from what I could gather.
We would have finished by 9 o'clock.
Anyway, sorry about that. False start. Can we go again?
We might have to get the manual barriers, the old backups.
Yes, well, they've been used a bit in the last couple of weeks, haven't they? Yeah. Well, formally, good morning to you both. Nice to join you on Raconteur Stakes Day, and just picking up the thread of your opening introduction to the day. It is a very open edition, isn't it, of the 3-year-old feature there this year. Really looking forward to that. And the meeting, of course, underway at 11:59. We better get through the changes, I think, nice and quickly. We've got Sydney racing coming your way as well, nice and early this morning. So we might have to put the foot onto the accelerator in the early part of the preview this morning. Inside Running. Great to have your company. As the boys might have mentioned too, it's overcast, a soft 6. The rail is at 8, 11:59, the first for the day. And the Amelia Park plate to start the action. Just a field of 6 there with the scratching of number 4, Koondal, who won't be backing up after the appearance on Thursday at Pinjarra. Race 1, we take out the 4. The Bisley Workwear handicap is race 2. A field of 7, again a 1-2 pay with just the 7 runners. In the third, here we have a look at the National Pump and Energy handicap field, and there are no alterations there with 8 starters. Race 4, second heat of the West Speed Platinum Winter Series. Scratch number 8, Big Cities. Race 4, number 8. Race 5 is the Studco handicap, getting underway here at 2:24. And at number 1, Double Spice is the withdrawal. Race 5, number 1. Over to race number 6, the Peters Investments handicap. And here we have no changes to declare. Fat Roy Slim there going for his 5th straight win in that race. Certainly been a real draw card in recent weeks. On to race 7. And this is the free entry to Belmont Park handicap. And here we have no alterations. Feature event for the day, Raconteur Stakes. And as Scotty mentioned there, the withdrawal of number 8, Rachanko. certainly in the market there for this edition. So Pike without a mount there in the Raconteur Brachenko scratching. And the last race is the Mrs. Max handicap. And we see the one omission there, and that is number 12 in Hoba Meteor. So they are fairly minimal. It's 9 minutes approaching after 8 o'clock. And currently 14 degrees with a few showers about through the course of the day. So from a pattern point of view, we'll be just keeping a close eye on the heavens, seeing what rainfall there is.
So the forecast I've seen, there's no rain until 8 p.m. tonight.
So we're pretty clear.
We should get through the meeting, fingers crossed, without any rain at all.
So a dry game of footy.
Which shouldn't really matter. The Birds can't beat North. Relegate them both.
No, I think we should be on that soft 6. Probably wouldn't be getting any worse. Potentially an upgrade later in the day.
Yeah, I would think that too. A little bit different to what happened at Pinjarra there Thursday. It was downgrade after downgrade with the torrential rain that fell there. All right, that's the scene setter at least for Belmont Park. You've got the changes. We'll get the thoughts of both Scotty and Michael this morning when we return on the other side of this break. Thanks for joining us on Inside Running. Back with more soon.
All right, now you're back with Inside Running this Saturday on TAB Radio Racing and Sport. All the headphones have been sorted. We're back in business. Let's have a look at the market here for the first at Belmont. It comes up at 11.59. The Amelia Park played over the 1,000. Favourite one, West Star, 140, 110. 2 Brazen Bid, 6.50, 2.30. 3 Southern Scandal, $7, 2.40. 6 Salsa Smash, $8, 2.80. They're the runners under double figure odds. Back with you, Darren. What are your thoughts?
Okay, well, we start the day with a very short-priced favourite there and an impressive winner first up in West Star from Simon Miller's yard, completely dominating its return to racing. It had trialled impressively to say that that was always going to be the case, and you would think that, as the price would indicate, both Michael and Scotty here, that it's got another strong grip on this opening event here at Belmont.
Yeah, impressive, wasn't he? And under the set weights and penalties conditions, only goes up 1 kilo, so you'd think that he'd be even really well suited here at least. He had to do a bit of work from the outside draw first up, found the breeze, still ran all the fastest closing sectionals, was strong at both ends of that race, and in what's only a 6-horse field, drawn a bit better here, I find it difficult to see who'll be beating him, Scott.
Well, he probably works at the exact same spot, does he not? Southern Scandal's got some speed, and Salsa Smash has speed as well with a set of shades on, but other than that, he should be able to bully his way to the breeze. And if he gets to the breeze safely, you'd imagine that he's a little bit too sharp for them.
Even if Southern Scandal and Salsa Smash settle 1-2, you can tuck him just behind. So either way, I don't really think there's a map query for him, and expecting him to be too strong again.
That debut performance, he's run third behind Sinful Living. The second horse was Street Band, who's come out and won back-to-back races this time in, and West Star looks like he's going to go very close to making it back-to-back. We can be quick here, I think. 1, 2, 3 and 6. West Star to beat Brazen Bid. I like the trial behind Noah Quintilly. Very quiet, gets a lovely run. 3 Southern Scandal was run down at the trials by Housewife, which is maybe a slight query after Housewife potentially went a little bit unders during the week. She was luckless, but she still wasn't going that well, I didn't think. And 6 Salsa Smash, who they scratched from Wednesday to save for this. 1, 2, 3 and 6.
Carbon copy for me, saw it the exact same. 1, 2, 3 and 6.
I'll be 1 as well, West Star. It's a logical selection here in the first for the day. Southern Scandal, I thought, could take a bit of natural improvement out of the recent barrier trial. It ran 57 and change there, out of a good draw. Pike on board there has had a feel of this horse. Won a barrier trial back on it in January at Lark Hill, and then Salsa Smash and Brazen Bid. Thought that they were the logical 4 here in the opening race for the day. 1, 3, 6 and 2, Leah, for me.
All right, 1, 3, 6 and 2 for you, Darren. Scott and Michael Heaton both 1, 2, 3 and 6. At Belmont, race 2, it comes up at 12.30 for the Bisley Workwear Handicap over the 1,000. 6 Goddess of Giving, 280. 2 Younger Lass, 440 alongside 4 Russian to the bar. 7 Top of the Pop, 7.51 Beads, $9. 3 Cashaway, $9. And then the only runner over double figures, 5 Eorways at $14. Darren, what are your thoughts ahead of race 2?
Okay, well, first of all, the blinkers are back off Goddess of Giving here. And I think if you do your form comprehensively, you'll see that this is where she seems to be able to fire and be at her winning best. Lou has removed the shades. She has been placed at each of her 2 runs to the Boss Lady and her rival today in Cashaway, but 3 wins have been without blinkers. She'll love the track conditions as they stand at the moment. And boys, should she have beaten Cashaway at their last encounter, given the fact that Jason lost his whip about 75 from the line. She was building momentum at that particular stage. She's gone down narrowly, and now she gets 1.5 kilos off Cashaway.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the reason he dropped his whip is because she was wanting to lay in so noticeably, and he was trying to get it through to the left, and he successfully did. But at the same stage that he got it through to the left, it went flying in behind him. She threw that race away for mine.
Yeah.
She had them covered down the outside and probably should have got the job done, but here, a fortnight later, she's found a really winnable race. The thing that made this tricky, in a sense, for me, and ugly to view on paper, have you ever seen a 1,000-metre race at this grade with so little speed?
Without a single leader. And if she ends up, I thought she'd be 3 back the fence naturally, but she's probably going to box seat with the lack of speed. And if it's a real stack and rack affair...
Can you have a little throw at the stumps and suggest maybe one...
I thought Beads would take it up.
Beads, that would be. Is there a possibility, and I'm only shooting a bit wide here, Russian to the bar might bumble his way there?
Well, I think that'll be the plan with him, to punch him out and put him in a forward spot, because it's only a field of 7 and nobody wants to lead.
I thought it was a really tricky race for some runners in the fact that Russian to the bar, who got out to, 1,800 metres last preparation, he's first up 1,000. Yonga Lass got out to 1,800 metres, a last start winner over the 18, and is now back to 1,000 metres first up, top of the pops first up for the new stable off a bit of a break, has had some setbacks previously, and Eeyore Ways as well. Does have a good fresh record over 1,000 metres, but the only real genuine 1,000-metre types here are probably Goddess of Giving, Cashaway, and Beads to a lesser extent, but if all things going well, I thought this was a wonderful race for Goddess of Giving.
Same, I'll go her way with the shades coming off. I just really hope that she doesn't get shuffled to 3 back the fence in an ugly 1,000-metre dash. 3 Cashaway, I can see a world in which Holly Watson sits 3 deep and still covers them because they go so slow. 7 top of the pops, hard to miss his trial. He didn't wear blinkers and he covered them really impressively. 4 Russian to the bar, care of the fact that he probably finds the breeze, but I'm not sure on him at 1,000. He always is going to go around the outsider of the field. First up, last prep, at 1,000 metres, he resumed in a listed race, was beaten 2.5.
Yep.
I don't think he's impossible by any stretch. 6, 3, 7 and 4.
6, 3, 2 and 5 for me. Goddess of Giving, wonderful race for her from Cashaway, I think is a big price considering. Yonga Lass in for 3rd, brilliant campaign when last in work, but 1,000 metres certainly on the short side, and I agree. Eeyore Ways, a big price in for 4th. 6, 3, 2 and 5.
And I'll make it unanimous here as well as we did in the opening race on the program. I'm going here with the Playing God mare, Goddess of Giving. And even if there was rain around, I would think that her prospects would even just be further enhanced. Good mare this 3rd run in, and I think that she can turn the tables on 3 Cashaway, who is a very versatile horse. As we know, he is a winner from 1,000 to 16, so you know what you're going to get. You get genuine. And 1 Bees, I thought if it is forced into the role of pacemaker today, it might be worthy of clinging on. It meets Cashaway that couple of kilos better off there. Top of the pops, first run for the new yard. I'm going to include no blinkers in the barrier trial. It was pretty sharp there, though, and I'm going to mark it down into the 4th box. 6 from 3, 1 and 7, Leah.
6, 3, 1, 7 for Darren, Scott 6, 3, 7, 4, and Michael 6, 3, 2 and 5. Take note, punters. Randwick, the first comes up at 8:30. We'll take a quick look at this board. 9 Shamadan, 310 and 170. 7 Madrina, 380, 190. 1 Buckingham Palace, 550, 250. 11 Twinkling Stars, $6, 260. 12 Venero, 750, 310. 8 Smashing Rosie, 13 with Tyler Schiller now on board, and 3 Knights Inferno at $17. If you've just joined us here on TAB Radio Racing and Sport, we are currently up to race 3 here for Inside Running with Darren, McAullay, Scott Embry and Michael Heaton. Race 3 at Belmont at 109 is the National Pump and Energy Handicap over the 1,000. 3 Burberry at 240. 1 Bayzid, 550. 2 Capra Omnia at $7. 5 Barney's World, 850. 7 Miss Drakova at $9. Double figures upwards. The rest, Darren, back to you.
Few horses have had more derivations to their name than the 3. I think there was a text message that went out recently, wasn't there, with it phonetically
I'm not sure.
out.
I always thought it was Burberry, but I'm told it's Babiri. Is that correct?
Not sure. I lost the text.
Babiri is what I copped on track one day.
Babiri is
Someone got me in a headlock, told me it was Babiri.
Yes, I think that's
Babiri.
Babiri, yeah.
Okay.
But I always thought it was Burberry. But
I also thought it was Zephyr, but apparently I was wrong.
Saphira. Talangatar.
Burberry.
I think this horse can win. In fact, I'm fairly bullish on his chances.
Best of the day for mine, Babiri.
He gets a lovely run in behind a solid speed. First up last prep over 1,000, he beat Tudati. We're all fans of Tudati, even after running second to Final Siren, who's a very, very handy sprinter. He's 2 from 2 first up. He's got Pike, he's got a set of winkers, and he's coming off 2 pretty soft trials where he really wasn't asked for an effort neither.
Perhaps to get a great run here, Scotty.
Originally, I was concerned the fact that he's had the 2 trials coming into a 1,000-metre race just from a stable point of view, but then having a look, he hasn't raced in more than 9 months, and perhaps this has been a target. Well, I'm hoping it's a target, the fact just waiting for him to be on soft tracks and back at Belmont Park, because if that's the case, this looks a perfect first-up race for him. He goes best on soft tracks. He's already a heavy track winner. William Pike, you've mentioned it all there, Scott, maps perfectly, and I think they'll be struggling to beat him from this map.
Okay, so you're both very keen, and I would join in the chorus as well there with Babiri.
Or is it Berberay?
Bayzid is Bayzid, and it looks set to probably lead, does it, over the 1,000 here. It's a horse who gets right back into his wheelhouse in this particular race first up too, where he's very, very capable, fresh out of a low draw, jump, running type Bayzid. Is it the danger?
I thought the trial was quite good. Wore blinkers in the trial, didn't he? But the blinkers come off on race day.
Straight to the front and ride him like you stole him. Faster the better for a horse like him. Other chances, Capri Omnia was very impressive on a heavy, dropping back and sort of getting that soft run at the back. I think they've figured him out now. Just ride him cold and let him unwind late.
He could probably just follow Babiri here and get a similar type of run.
Can you build a case for Little Strawberry?
Yeah.
With excuses last start.
She's in my 4.
Absolutely. I thought she was as luckless as Capri Omnia in that same race behind Chrisanova. And first up was 3 off the Boss Lady in Lexington City. So I thought that Little Strawberry had a case to be made as well. Interesting horse to try and get your head around is Barney's World. 3 starts back, he beat Capri Omnia by 3/4 of a length, ran straight past him that day. They meet at the exact same weights. They both rise 2.5. Hasn't beaten a horse home since, but they've both been better races than what he meets here. He could be one that improves or returns to form in a sense.
Would need to.
3, 1, 2 and 6.
3, 2, 1 and 6 for me, but an asterisk next to the 3. Babiri, best of the day for mine, from Capri Omnia. Hasn't run a bad race since joining Dilbesto's yard. Bayzid to lead and run 3rd, and Little Strawberry in for 4th. 3, 2, 1, 6.
Yeah, they're the same 4 numbers all round here, but slightly a different order in the minor selections. For me, at least, it's 3 Babiri, rolling the dice first up, should get the right run. Bayzid beautifully placed first up, low draw over the 1,000. 6 Little Strawberry without luck last time around, and 2 Capri Omnia racing so well. 3, 1, 6 and 2. I think we covered it off pretty well there in race number 3. Lay, you can go through those, and then on the other side of it, we'll take a break before returning with more of Inside Running. And don't forget the first event from Sydney this morning at 8:30.
All right, we've had a text message through, and that it's not blueberry, it's not Burberry or Berber, it is Berberay. Berberay there, race 3 at Belmont. And Darren,
significantly, I was calling it Berberay early on, I think, in its career, and was told that it was the incorrect pronunciation. So
right, there you go.
We've had confirmation. Berberay it is.
Berberay it is.
And he should be winning.
And I've been confirmed.
The old Ethiopian spice mix.
All right. And its selections, just to clarify, race 3, Darren 3162, Scott 3126, and Michael 3216. All right, Randwick comes up in 5.5 minutes. I believe we can get through race 4, Belmont, before we head across. 3 Capricorn Man, 250, 5 Russian Sniper, 480, 7 Export Girl, $6, 1 Famous Journey, and 6 Capo Veloce, $6.50. Darren, who do you like in the 4th?
Well, I like Capricorn Man. I've gone this way. Be very interested to get the thoughts of Michael and Scotty, of course, here. With the step to the 1,200 metres, back into a 58 plus, possessing the speed from barrier 1, and only one other horse could go with it and match it, may even lead it. And if that's the case, it could sit on it, and that's Famous Journey. So I just think it puts itself into the driver's seat pretty much here, Capricorn Man, boys. But what are your views?
If this was on top of the ground and a good 4, almost wheel out the M word. I think this horse is awfully hard to beat. But today we're on a soft 6, so I don't get to use the word, but I still think he's very, very hard to beat.
Do you think I don't know if it changes a huge amount, but do you think he leads or box seats on Famous Journey?
No, I think he leads. I don't think Famous Journey's got the speed with 60.5 to cross him. So I think Matty will use that barrier to her advantage, burrow up underneath of Famous Journey, and from there I think he can lead them a merry dance. He's already a dominant 2-time winner in this grade. I thought he was exceptionally good first up. He was over 1,000 metres for the first time in his life. He got crossed, which is unusual for him, and he was still only beaten ahead by Cashaway and Goddess of Giving, and we think that they can fight out the higher grade sprinting race earlier on in the day. Excellent placement, Capricorn Man. I think he can lead and win this. 3 and very bullish. 6, Capo Veloce, drops a bit of weight, gets a soft run, but he's only won the once from 12, and it was a long time ago.
First 2 runs were outstanding.
Very good.
The other day...
I thought he probably had enough late there. He peaked up a bit, so maybe at the 1,200 he's better equipped.
I was a little disappointed in his run. Care of the fact that he got a similar run to the winner in Pro Latte.
Well, you look at the sectionals, second fastest last 1,000, 8.64. The last 200, 7th fastest. So he really did peak on his run.
So maybe 1,200 is his capacity. That's his limit.
That's what I think.
Ran out of tickets.
Yep.
3 from 6, 1 Famous Journey. I think in the end the 60.5 will get him, especially if he has to sit outside a Capricorn Man. And 5 Russian Sniper. They rode him upside down last start, but he still went well. I think today they take their medicine, go back and have last crack. 3, 6, 1 and 5, best of the day, and very keen me, Capricorn Man.
With Capricorn Man as well, slightly different order for the minors. 3, 5, 1 and 6. Capricorn Man, no doubt, hard to beat. The last 2 times he's been in this grade, he's won. So I think he's really well placed, as Scott mentioned. Thought Russian Sniper was the danger, though. It was a good run at Albany first up, whilst it was only Albany. He ran all the fastest closing splits of the meeting, and last start, ridden upside down from the gate, rolled forward, chased hard, but stuck on well. Famous Journey's going particularly well, and I'll elevate Capo Veloce after the scratching of Bird's the Word. 3, 5, 1 and 6.
Okay, the Bird is out, is it?
The Bird's the Word is scratching, yes.
Righto, we didn't get that in the originals.
I think it came through a bit late, yeah.
Okay, then, so we can take out the 4 there. We're in harmony this morning, nearly on every race, so we'll stay with that theme, and that is, for me, 3 Capricorn Man as well, super bullish over 1 Famous Journey. I went with the 6, Capo Veloce. I think back to 1,200 is maybe a key, given the fact that it produced 2 really good runs at the 1,000 and 1,200 first up before, just peaking out of it at its most recent outing to Pro Latte. And I'll include Russian Sniper there as my 4th selection. I'm 3, 1, 6 and 5 in race 4, Leah.
All right, 3, 1, 6, 5 for Darren. Scott, 3, 6, 1, 5 with Capricorn Man as one of his best bets, and Michael 3, 5, 1 and 6. Randwick, we are 2 minutes off, so we'll take a break here with Inside Running, and we'll be back after the first at Randwick for a race 5 onwards. Randwick, 3 Capricorn. No, that's Belmont. Definitely not Capricorn Man there. 9 Shamadan, $3 170. 7 Madrina, $3.80 190. 1 Buckingham Palace, and 11 Twinkling Star, $6.50 280. 8 Smashing Rosie, $9.50 380. 12 Venero, 12 3 Lights Inferno at $18. They're still on their way to the barrier stalls here at Randwick, Darren, so we might be able to squeeze in the next at Belmont, which is a race 5, and there is 1 scratching here of 1 favourite with 2 Twins Angel, 2:20 1:20 for Matty Derrick. This race over the 1,200 metres, the Studco handicap. Let's quickly get through these. Who is your on top tip?
Well, Twins Angel speaks for herself. She's won 5 out of 5. She's a filly who can do it at both ends. She's got pace. She has got a turn of acceleration. But she's now starting to climb up into the weights a little bit here, Scotty and Red. So do we start to look at her as a little bit of a risk, particularly with the return of Fluoro Neuro, who is one who can produce a barnstorming run and particularly fresh?
First time in her life for me, I'm going to go against her. I think she's vulnerable today, and it's the 58 that gets me. So far
on the scene.
So far in her life, she's carried 51.5, 52.5, 53, 55, 55. Today she skyrockets up to 58, and I think she has to do a little bit of work. I'd be surprised if between He's Gold and Big Day On It that they just handed the breeze to her without having to at least make her work a little bit. So I thought she might be vulnerable late to a horse like a Fluoro Neuro who goes well fresh and trolled super.
Okay. We'll get your thoughts, Michael, in a couple of moments because there's only one or two left to move in at Randwick for the Schweppes handicap. Let's take you on course. We'll be back to recap our thoughts in regards to the Studco Handicap Race 5 after the opening event with an early start from New South Wales today and in particular at Royal Randwick. Here's the opener.
To Inside Running here as we preview the Belmont card. We were up to a race 5 and Darren did mention that he's got Twain's Angel on top at 2:20. And Darren, you ready to pick it back up?
Yeah, we do think that Twain's Angel will be very hard to beat again, naturally enough. Scotty, though, indicating before the break that maybe this is one occasion here that you've got to climb off the Twain's Angel bandwagon and maybe look elsewhere, particularly with the 58. And we were getting to you there, Michael, in regards to your thoughts. And just touching upon maybe a Fluoro Neuro, is there a spot for My Dilemma, who looked awfully unlucky behind Twain's Angel? Really stiff on return.
Absolutely. Ripping run and ran some terrific races at Ascot last season as well, or last preparation at least, and has been a horse that we've been wanting to get back to Belmont, My Dilemma. But look, I stuck with Twain's Angel in the end. She's 5 from 5. I know this is her toughest test to date, up to 3 kilos, and but I think the drying track's in her favour. She should be on speed, and until she gives us a reason otherwise, I'll stick with her. 2, 4, 6 and 7, Twain's Angel for me from Fluoro Neuro. Clearly a big danger, fresh horse on the scene, trialled up well and is a previous heavy track winner, so the conditions will suit. My Dilemma in for 3rd. I like Chris Parnham going on, proven on wet tracks, and I think is capable of a little boil over. And Best Mood in for 4th has won 3 from 5 and progressing well, but just a bit of a map query. I'm not sure if Brad Parnham has to bite the bullet and go right back or right forward or be 3 deep. Just looks a little bit sticky on paper. 2, 4, 6, 7.
Yeah, a bit of a conundrum there for him as well. I think if you were going to jump off, you had some reasons, legit reasons for not wanting to tip Twain's Angel because of the 58, and that'll be her test today, whether or not she can carry that type of weight and still win and make it 6 in a line. She's certainly shown us that she's got the ability to do that, or is a Fluoro Neuro fresh, keen, ready to go, and produces one of those typical big finishing bursts that he's very capable of, and particularly fresh. Having said that, I sided, though, with you, Michael. I'm going to stick with what we've seen. I think that she deserves a chance here, even with that weight, again, to make it a half a dozen straight wins. I'm going to go with her, but if Fluoro Neuro beat her, well, then I wouldn't be completely surprised whatsoever. So 2 from 4 for me. Best Mood did beat the subsequent winner, Generosity, but the draw is a very sticky one, and I concur with you in regards to My Dilemma, who was very much on the luckless side when first up behind Twain's Angel. So I'll be 2, 4, 7 and 6 there, Leia, in race 5.
All right, and similar to Michael, 2, 4, 6 and 7. Scott, first time ever tipping against Twain's Angel with 4, 2, 6 and 7. Fluoro Neuro on top. Race 6, Belmont at 3:04. The Peters Investments handicap over the 2,200 metres, no scratchings. 1 Fat Roy Slim, 270 and 132 here for checks, 850. 5 Satino, 380. 6 Strike Now, 950. 7 Talangata, 850, and they are the runners under double figure odds. Are we backing Pike here in the next?
Well, what will he produce, the Wizard, today? Because lately it's been a couple of absolute showstoppers on Fat Roy Slim. Remarkable performances 2 starts ago, and then in particular at his last run. And I think we were still absolutely just flummoxed how he was able to get the horse through the gap, how the horse was able to carry the one, let down the top weight, and win the race the way that it did. It was an outstanding performance, but when does your run of luck end? Because you do need an element of it no matter what.
Or how many times do you watch the great man do it and say it's not luck? He's just an exceptionally good rider.
Well, he's a genius, that's right. We've said it for a long time, but you also need an element of luck. If a horse isn't going to shift out of the road, you're not going to get a run. And he just got enough there to have a sniff, and the horse is going so well. At the end of a journey, have you seen one for a while that can accelerate and really ping off
a dime?
Off a dime, yeah.
Not in a 66 plus.
And not with
60
not
kilos.
With 60 kilos either. He's shaping up as a legitimate Perth Cup horse now, isn't he? But what's he shooting for? 5 straight now, and Clearly, the horse to beat, he only goes up a kilo whilst carrying 61, only up the kilo from last week's win. But
does he ride the same type of a race here from Barrier 1? I mean, are you dictated to it, or do you go out the back?
Well, he's been settling 4 back the fence from Barrier 14, from Barrier 6, from Barrier 7.
The last 3 are identical rides.
Yeah, regardless from where he draws. So Barrier 1 probably makes it a bit easier for him.
And then you could probably say, well, it can't keep going. You can't keep getting through the gaps. You can't. But you know, with Pike, anything's possible at all. Satino did look as though it had the race well within its grasp.
Yeah,
it had dashed away. It had got the sprint on. It's drawn probably to do something a bit similar today, be out there, getting a toe ball, dragged to the race. Has the benefit now on the 7. There's quite a few of them. 7 of the 10 clashed with each other last weekend, so they're all on the back up here. But Satino will now get 1.5 kilos.
There are some wild weight swings in this. Look,
that's why I like one here.
Tallangatta's the weighted horse. 2 back meets Fat Roy Slim 6 kilos better for a nose.
That's right.
A deceptive nose. Last start, 4.5 kilos better for half a length. There's some massive swings in his favour. I struggled with him because he was scratched last week with the hoof abscess.
That's right.
And just coming back 7 days later. We actually saw it last week with Zafira. She was scratched with a hoof abscess, raced 7 days later, backed off the boards, ran last. It's just that unknown element I've got in the back of my head. But they'll hand him the front here. The way that they rode here for checks last week suggests that they've got no interest in punching the speed with Tallangatta in the field or without him in the field. So he should get things soft. He's got 53. He'll be there for a long way.
Best each way bet of the day for me, Tallangatta. I'm keen on him here. I do concur with your sentiments regarding the hoof abscess, but look, he's a winner of 21 days previously, 53 kilos, those weight swings that you mentioned, and I struggle to find a breeze horse. If it's not here for checks, it's probably Magic Whistle, and I can just see him getting things awfully cheap in front and then rolling from the 600, and I think he could run top 3. I'm confident he could run top 3, and he's, what is he, $8.50? Did we hear that price before? $8.50, yeah. So each way of the day for me.
Think about Chris Willis's last handful of runners. Trooper Phoenix was beaten during the week, but last Sunday he had a double, Fleur Delacour and Bow Talk. Obviously, Tallangatta's going exceptionally well. Defiant Diorite ran a place at any old odds last week. The meeting prior at Belmont, Right to Silence, did the same thing. So all of Chris Willis's horses are going well. He's a legitimate threat, but the way that Fat Roy Slim won last week, I found it hard to go past him. He just picked up out of nowhere and shot through under 60 to grab them. 1 Fat Roy Slim, 7 Tallangatta, 5 Satino. The forgotten horse for me is Stylax. This horse went up 50s. He's third up out to a staying trip back in grade. I liked his run behind Ollie's Choice.
To 23 now, Scott.
I thought he was just way overs early. 1-7-5-3.
Tallangatta, best each way of the day for me. I like Berberine. I like Tallangatta, 7, 1, 5 and 2. Hopefully, as Darren mentioned, 7 of the 10 are coming off that run last week. Perhaps the 3 weeks will be in his favour. From Fat Roy Slim, clearly going well. Satino in for third, and here for checks, as honest as they come, 7, 1, 5, 2.
I'll go with Satino, just on the fact that it's 1.5 kilo swing. It looked as though it had the race shot to pieces there, and if there is one element of bad luck that goes the way of Fat Roy Slim, and he has getting through the fields and through the genius of W. Pike to win these races. But another extra kilo, there has to be a day when they'll get beaten under circumstances, not because of the ability of the horse or the fact that it is not genuine or anything like that, because we know he is, but they just run out of a little bit of luck every now and then, and maybe it goes the way of Satino this afternoon. Fat Roy Slim, clearly hardest to beat. Tallangatta, I do agree with you there. Just depends on the level of what that issue was with the hoof abscess, whether it was a really bad one, or it wouldn't be if he was probably here today. And the weight swing is absolutely astronomical there in his favour. And the other one here hasn't been mentioned at all, and that's coming out of the same race last week. It does meet Fat Roy Slim much better. Strike Now. I thought there was something there.
It's a good run,
as well. Yeah, I think that there is a race coming up for Strike Now somewhere very, very soon. So it'll be my pick 4 in the quartet. So 5, 1, 7 and 6 there in race 6, Leah.
All right. So 5, 1, 7, 6 for you, Darren. Scott 1, 7, 5, 3 and Michael 7, 1, 5, 2. The next at Belmont, race 7 at 3:40. The free entry to Belmont Park over the 1400. No scratchings. 2 Rope Them In, 198. Stormy Tawny, 420 and 10 Western Knight, $6. Only the 3 runners under double figure odds. Darren, not the most competitive race going around?
No, it doesn't appear to be one of those races where there are, a host of chances, very few in actual fact on form, and they clearly are defined in the market there. Rope Them In and also Stormy Tawny. So, Michael, which way will you be going? Are they the 2 here that you're going to play?
Well, I was trying to get Rope Them In beaten, to be brutally honest, but, geez, I struggled with, I think, Paul Harvey aboard from the gate. They'll just have to bully, or I'm pretty sure he'll ride his way.
No, you go.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were looking at me as if I said something wrong. Rope Them In, could bully his way to the breeze from that outside draw, and Stormy Tawny the danger, but probably settles last, does she not?
I would thought so. My issue with the price about Rope Them In is, where does Paul Harvey get to? I'm yet to sort of sell myself
breeze
on where he gets. I figured he'd probably bully his way forward.
But you look at Western Knight, I'd like to be tipping him, but his second trial I thought was
awful.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of it. First up off a lengthy break, he's clearly untapped. He's a serious horse, but first up off a lengthy break with that moderate recent trial, geez, I found it hard to place numbers behind Rope Them In, to be honest. He is the progressive horse on the rise. Hopefully he gets to the breeze, and if he does, I think he'll be winning.
Not to mention with Western Knight, he had 3 trials back in October and then didn't make his way to the races. So he's had clearly some issues between preps. I mean, you don't need to be a genius to figure that out. He hasn't raced since the Quokka last year. So I struggle with Western Knight. Watching that second trial,
absolutely
not for me.
Not got the
Savage One's probably not the same horse. Classic Rogue was an improvement last start, but Come Right Back is still on the way up. Birdie Eagle's first up, no trial. Holy Ghost is first up. It's difficult to be finding horses to be taking Rope Them In on. So I'll rip through them. 2, 8, 10 and 11. Rope Them In from Stormy Tawny. A gap from the trial to the race. Had pads going on that day, but it was a really good run, and you think there'd be natural improvement. Western Knight, hopefully he's back to his best on race day. And Candlelight Supper I'll include. I think first up, no trial, soft track, capable of a cheeky run fresh at a big price. 2, 8, 10, 11.
2, 8, 3 and 5. Rope Them into backing the Pontiff really to find a spot, because there doesn't look to be one. 8 Stormy Tawny, 3 Benjis goes well fresh, and 5 Classic Rogue fought on well, I thought, in that fast flicker race which contained Rope Them In. 2, 8, 3, 5.
I've got the carbon copy of those selections as well here. A race that really does lack some depth there, and whilst he's gone up the 3 kilos, I think he's pitched in at the right distance here. I don't think he needs any further, Scotty, than 1400, quite frankly. Rope Them In, and if the Pontiff does come out positive there, Parks maybe to the breeze, I think that he's got the ability. He's a big scopy enough horse to carry the extra few kilos here and still win. So it was in this class that he got the job done last time around. It's 2 for me from 8, 3 and 5, exactly the same as you. And on the other side of this, we will take a break before coming back to look at the feature event on the card this afternoon, where our 3-year-olds are going to be doing battle in the listed Raconteur Stakes layer.
Absolutely. Just to recap selections before we go to a break, Darren and Scott both with 2, 8, 3, 5, and Michael Heaton 2, 8, 10 and 11. Back to Inside Running with Darren, Scott and Michael. We've got 2 races left to preview. And if you missed it earlier on, it is Burberry for listeners, Burberry. Now, Darren, we go into race 8, and the favourite here is with 10 Generosity, 3.10.9, the Boss Lady, 4.40. 1 Super Smink, $7 for My Jimmy, $7.50, and 5 Sapphire Street, $8 double figures upwards. The rest here in the Raconteur Stakes. Who do you like?
Well, gents, it's a very open lineup of 3-year-olds in this edition of the Raconteur. I think we could probably wax lyrical about a few of them and maybe even miss the winner as a result of it all. Let's start it, though. We'll probably have a look towards a couple of these fillies like Generosity and the Boss Lady, who we understand is going to the paddock after this run this afternoon. She will not progress on beyond 1400. And then, of course, you've got Super Smink as well, who, under the conditions of this race, bringing her absolute best form, as we know, is up to her ears in winning a Raconteur as well. So they're the fillies with Sapphire Street also, who is one of those fillies here that's coming off 6 weeks, but boy, I think that she's got the capacity here to strike and strike early. Danny Morton's represented by a couple of nice ones in the race. Having said that, it's a very open affair.
Yeah, 4 of my first 5 in my market were fillies for this race, but I do agree that it is a really, really good addition. And a horse like the Boss Lady, the draw it does hurt, but gee, she's capable of a big finish, and I think she's going to have some really nice backs to follow in this race, considering the strength of the field. And last start, to my eye, she was just crying out for the 1400. Grand final today, gets it. She gets 3.5 kilos on Generosity. She drops 5. She's won 6 from 9. I know the draw's against her, but if she can follow a horse like Brave Spirit, Super Smink, one of those horses that are going to give her a nice cart, I actually still think she's the horse to beat, Scott, despite being on the second or third line of betting.
That's the thing for me that in the end, I was Team Rachanko because I thought he would just get a gun run parked close handy to the speed. But after he comes out, and the more that you look at this race, that 3 deep moving line has quality in it, which is what you want if you're going to be tipping into one that's in that area. So I would think that 3 deep line at stages has Brave Spirit, has Super Smink, has the Boss Lady. It's a pretty daunting chasing brigade.
Absolutely.
More with you. No.
Generosity herself looks like she'll suit getting out to 1400. I think she has the big draw advantage over the Boss Lady. The blinkers went on last start. Was super. Super Smink I had in for third. Terrific run last start, I thought, even though numerically it reads like she's not going all that well. This is the first time she's been against her own age group since the Guineas.
Didn't have a...
Back in November. She actually ran the fastest closing sectionals despite being held up for most of the
That's right, yeah, exactly. She didn't get the rub of the green, really. And I think when you consider, too, that she drew 14 of 14 in the Quokka first up, well, that basically takes care of that. Yes, exactly. Then goes to the Northam Stakes, got back, got home in under 33. Northam's a fast track, as we know, and they can peel off impressive numbers, but that's all, I think, comparable.
4 lengths off Western Empire.
4 lengths off Western Empire. And then, with an excuse last start, I don't see a reason why you can't come back. And if she is getting a nice drag into it in that lane that is moving with her ability to let down, we know how talented she is. She was the 2-year-old of the year in this state of her 2-year-old season. And under the weights, with the set weights and penalties, 57 as a 90 rater. And you're looking at the value in the market. Well, I don't think you look too much further than Super Smink as one of the legitimate winning chances in the race.
100%. If she had have got out last start and ran second or third, I think she'd be a lot shorter than $7 here, and I think she's going somewhere back near her best again now. And for fourth, I had Brave Spirit. I did have Rachanko in there, but I'll elevate Brave Spirit. I do have a Matt query on him. I do fear he might be the 3 deep horse in the race, but
he's got a bit of toughness about him.
I really like
Michael.
the horse, yeah, absolutely. But 9, 10, 1 and 3 was the way I saw it, and horses stiff to miss out. Sapphire Street, Might Jimmy. So yeah, it's a really good race, Scott.
9, 10, 3 and 1. I went with the Boss Lady as well. I think that moving line can get the better of them late. 10, Generosity. She's going to probably need some luck at some stage from 1 because she will end up leaders back, or if she doesn't jump, 3 back the fence. 3, Brave Spirit. Not quite sure where he gets to, but I have convinced myself the softer run that he gets, the better his last couple of furlongs are. And 1, Super Smink. Imagine if she can definitely win this today, but imagine if she was a flashing light run into second or third, and then in a fortnight's time goes to set weights of a Belmont Guineas down to 54.5. She'd be awfully popular in that. 9, 10, 3, 1.
I'm going to roll the dice with her, Super Smink. I'm going to roll the dice with the Danny Morton Quinella in the race, because I do think that if there is going to be a horse who can come off the back of a little freshen, it is Sapphire Street. Terrific in that capacity there. Put together a good body of work at 1400, including a win in the Sheila Gwyn over Laced Up Heels, no less, and drawn beautifully, Sapphire Street here. So, look, it's again around that similar price there, around the $7 mark, and also what's Sapphire Street, $8 mark there. I think there's a bit of value in a very open edition of this particular race. I've then gone down to Generosity. Handled the blinkers well first time. Do they have the same impact second time around? That's always one of those head scratches. And then after that, you could kick yourself for leaving horses like the Boss Lady out. My Jimmy, the other one too, that I tipped last start there, I thought that he's got a future. But I do like the toughness of Brave Spirit, and I thought that if it could, find a back, get it there or even have to work up 3 deep without the cover, then I thought it was equal to the occasion. Did beat a nice one home last start in Kalima. So for me, it's 1, 5, 10, 3. Really good addition, though, isn't it, of the Raconteur? I think they'll be backing quite a few of them with the value that exists there in the feature event on the program layer.
Absolutely. A chance for punters to get some value and for quite a few plays in the exotic. So Darren 1, 5, 10, 3, Scott 9, 10, 3, 1, and Michael 9, 10, 1, 3. The last at Belmont, race 9, comes up at 450. The Mrs. Max handicap over the 1,400 metres. And we'll go through the runners under double figures. 1, Californication, 440, 14, Wonder Weapon, 460, 6, Love and War, $6, 9, Playing Games, $7.50, and 3, Beccalotti at $8.50, $12 upwards the rest. What are your thoughts ahead of the last? How do you think this race will pan out, Darren?
Well, first of all, Californication's now gone to Gary McPherson, who's got a very small team at Ascot, transferred there by the row yard there to Gary McPherson, and coming off the back of a super win in the Sky Provincial Series heat up in the Goldfields with a totally luckless third in the final, still looking for a run after that performance. So it's not a great draw. It'll go back. Might be a blessing in disguise, who knows, and has the 59 kilos. I felt this was a reasonably open race again to round out the day, and I'm not quite sure whether I was off a bit early last start. I went with Wonder Weapon as my preferred selection the last time that it appeared when placed behind my Jimmy, and it didn't really get a lot of luck go its way. Maybe it was a run too soon. I think it's worthy of sticking with, and Lucy Fiore's in a bit of form at the moment as well. Scotty, how do you see the last?
I agree with the sentiment. The mare's been good all the way through. I like the trial. Was crunched first up over 1,200. Was the only horse to make much ground after Lucky's Way sided her way through, and then went and finished off well behind my Jimmy when held up a long way. The market has a love association with this mare. Most times she goes to the races, she gets supported at some stage in betting, and it was no different this morning. She was into favourite for a small stage there. I was really hopeful of getting each way. In fact, she was my favourite in my market to 95% as a $7 favourite. So when she went up $7, yeah, I locked her in thinking that's the right price. She's probably a touch unders now, under $5, but I still go her way.
Doesn't quite hit the each way mark, but that's how I was leaning when she was around that $7 mark.
By the time they jump at 450, I'd be surprised if it wasn't each way the field this. 14 Wonder Weapon, 1 Californication. He was 650 to 370 in that Sky final, and then punters just didn't really get a run for their money at any stage.
Probably should have won.
6 Love and War. First up run in WA, split Generosity and the Boss Lady. That could look sensational form after the Raconteur. They bypassed that race, but you'd think that she's on a pathway towards a Belmont Oaks. She looks that kind of filly. And 9 Playing Games, out to 1,400 metres, has been there once in the Lastia, was 2 1/4 off investment strategy, and Generosity was second in that field. So I don't see why we'd be worried about Playing Games getting the 1,400. And Merrill Haley's yard's going as well as anybody's. 14, 1, 6 and 9.
Okay, Red Man, how do you see the last?
Thought it was a really open race. One of, I think, 9 or 10 horses, if they were to win, it actually wouldn't surprise me. But I've settled on Beccalotti, a horse that Scott didn't mention. 3, 1, 14 and 9. This mare's, she's had 13 starts on a good track for only the 1 win. She's had 4 on rain affected, both soft and heavy.
Is the 14 just a little bit of a query?
2 wins and a second. Well, she might be able to get things a little bit softer. There's not a huge amount of speed drawn inside her, I didn't think. I thought she'd be able to at least get to the breeze, and she has placed a couple of times. She placed last time over 1,400. She ran second at the Belmont 14. So, look, off 21 days, she's a previous winner. She's been top 4 all preparation on good track. She now gets a rain-affected track at $8.50. I think she's a throw at the stumps. She'll have a big field position advantage over Californication and Wonder Weapon, who I thought were the 2 dangers. So I'll go her way from Californication. Desperately unlucky, serious horse. Wonder Weapon in for 3rd, and Playing Games, slight query at 1,400, but I think the drying track will certainly play in her favour. 3, 1, 14 and 9.
Okay, 3 Beccalotti there for you. I'll be staying with the 14, not quite the each way. Maybe we wait and just see how that market does evolve. I think later on in the day it could well be back into that $5, $6 region. I think that Wonder Weapon's ready here. Could be the end of a good day for Dan Morton's stable there. I went with Playing Games as the danger, Californication and Flash Paddy I marked down there, also with a very good win last start in a Class 3. This is better clearly, but I think going well in the campaign for Raquel Williams. Just took a little set against Becalotti at 1,400 metres with a horse that's been there a few times, hasn't been able to quite get the job done. Not to say that it won't if it gets a cushy time of it at the head of the field today dictating. But 14.9 from 1 and 8 there in the last layer.
The other one, sorry, that interested me, just had the setback with the hoof soreness, was Done With the Blues. That was a seriously good trial. I think she's ready to go through the grades this prep.
Okay, Pike in the last. And value as well.
Absolutely. Darren 14.918, Scott 14.169, and Michael 3.114 and 9. I don't understand why they call you the Big Red. There's nothing red about you.
Well, it was red, but then all the hair fell out.
I've been asked. One of life's great mysteries. I get asked that probably 3 times a week.
I think it was the sun one day was at Ascot and it was beaming down on his bonce as he was striding through the mountain.
The beard gets a bit red.
And there was this red glow to his feathers. And it just looked very, very red. In fact,
and it's stuck.
It's the Big Red.
It was said once, but it sort of had so much charisma about it.
Everyone calls it Big Red now.
It had to stay. It could have been Big Ginge, for example. It's more Ginge, but I think Big Red sounds better.
Big Red sounds better. So we're 60 seconds off race 2, Randwick. Gents, quickly, best bets from everybody.
I think it's also Big Red for Far Lap, Similar Hearts.
Correct.
Far Lap and Ice.
That's the other point that we failed to mention.
Best bet for mine, Burberry, not to be confused with Babiri in race number 3, I think will be winning. And race 6, Tallangatta, each way of the day.
Fair call. Scotty.
Race 4, number 3, Capricorn Man.
Capricorn Man, I probably tend to agree there with you. I thought that maybe later on in the day we have something here on Super Smick at around $7, $8 there in the market for the Raconteur. I think if she brings her best, then at the set weights penalties here, that she is very well placed in an open affair as far as the Raconteur is concerned. Scotty, broom racing today. Much to glean from that meeting at all before we wrap up?
Well, leaders, and a couple more leaders.
Yeah.
Darren Pateman to train a couple.
Found a few.
Same.
What's your best?
Red Rebel.
Decent enough price.
Wins again in the last, I think.
What price?
260.
That'll do.
Not a lot of value at Broome because the markets just identify the leaders and hammer them. More value around at Roburn tomorrow.
Okay, Roburn and Kalgoorlie, of course, tomorrow there with a big day. Michael, when you consider some of the names of those races, the Joan Percy Memorial, the Olive Thompson Memorial, Jack Young Memorial as well, Athel and Jerry Higgins, Stephen Davey on PKG Cup Day. So good luck to all concerned at the KBRC. Terrific day.
Yeah, 100%. The track's been playing well there as well, and the Goldfields this season, and it looks in really good shape.
I think Dreamtime Gene wins the Joan Percy Memorial tomorrow. Pretty bullish.
Okay. Thanks for your time this morning, boys. Good luck with your thoughts today. We'll be back looking forward to your company as well, Scotty, later with Lockie Taylor as we take you now to Randwick, race number 2. That's all for the time being from Inside Running.